Welcome to the KiViTime podcast. We've got this beautiful setup only for you, some gluten-free desserts only for you. You can see them and be jealous that we're eating them. But today, in our first ever podcast, we're going to be talking about, we're going to actually answer one of the questions we received the most on our KiViTime Ask Me Now or whatever, which is the story of how we met. How did we meet, Viren? मैं भूल गई.
Let's go back 12 years. So it was in 2012. We were both in college. I was in my third year. Kriti was in her first year. She was a fresher. And before we actually ever got introduced to each other, I met her at the freshers event. Freshers is where the juniors, the first year students, meet the rest of the college. There's like this fest that's organized and everybody interacts, there are games. So that's where I saw Kriti for the first time.
I was just going to ask you, did you meet me for the first time there?
I did meet you, technically. We played a game and she was on my team, and I picked her for a reason, just so that maybe she'll notice me, but she didn't, unfortunately.
I just remember in retrospect from that day when we spoke about it later that he had picked me to be part of his team and he was against his friend who was leading the other team, right? And these guys, like, we were fighting. We were 10 of us in one team, 10 on the other, and we're trying to hurry up and run across whatever, trying to win the competition because it's a competition, Viren. And then in the end, him and his friend, both of them wait for each other and they're like, हाँ ये तो बच्चे हैं ना, इनको competitive spirit होती है. So they just waited and acted really cool and then went together, walked together, so it was a tie. And I just remember getting so pissed off. I was like, why are you wasting our time? Why did you make us do all of this if you didn't want anyone to win?
I'll tell you why. It was a relay race. We finished together because that's the spirit we wanted to imbibe in our juniors, that we're here together.
Then why did you
We're
tell
all
us
friends.
it was a competition?
We were trying to test your mindset.
We were running around in dresses.
You just got out of the rat race from school, 12th marks, boards. Now, chill, man.
Full
You're in college now.
drama. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off and make you come off your track.
Yes, so going back to that very first day that I ever saw her, I was standing with my group of friends. I saw her standing on stage, and as a complete joke, I'm not even exaggerating, as a complete joke, I turn over to my friends and I point to this girl and I say, "You see that girl there? This is a line from a movie, Salam Namaste." Alright, Arshad Varsi says this to Saif Ali Khan. I look at her, I point at her, and I say, "You see that girl there? मैं इसी से ही शादी करूँगा, मेरे इसी से ही बच्चे होंगे, मेरी पूरी जिंदगी के साथ इसी के साथ ही बीतेगी."
How
Which basically
dramatic.
means that you see that girl, I'm gonna marry her, I'm gonna have kids with her, I'm gonna spend my entire life with her. And turns out, God was listening because that's what ended up happening, and we've been together 12 years. But that's just the first time I saw her. That we didn't even interact really back then, did we?
Yeah, no, we didn't talk at all actually. So for those of you who think he's very non-Bollywood or he's not dramatic or whatever, that's the real him. That's how he is.
It was a joke, man. I've always been, as the Mughals call it, a bakhshod.
Oh my god, you have to stop. The Mughals did not say anything. The Mughals want to come down and kill you right now.
You can try.
Yes, they will. But so that's not how we actually met. We then participated in this debate competition. There's a debate competition happening, third years against first years. And the first years had to pick out chits and pick like the third years' names. And I remember I was running late for this, so I came a little late and there was only one chit left, and that was his name. So automatically we got paired together, as fate would have it, or as his friends would have it. I still think it was your friends who did it. They said it. That they picked out Viren's name, and then let everyone pick because they knew I was also coming and participating in the debate, and then gave it back to me when I
They
came
just
in.
wanted credit.
Or that. So anyway, we participated in the debate, and our topic, as you would have it, was live-in relationships. I was against them. He was for live-in relationships, and we were the last ones to go. Do you want to describe the debate a little bit? Okay, खाना ज़्यादा important है ना. Podcast चल रहा है, पहला podcast है, but नहीं, food over everything else. It was like a 3-minute debate or 2-minute debate, and we went way over. Like we went to like 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, just because it was going really well, and it was like a back and forth thing. So I would say something, he would counter. It was not like 1 minute ho gaya speech, then one other person says
Like a
it.
debate.
Yeah, like an actual debate. I got really annoyed with him because there was this one part where I said, you know, XX number of or XX percentage of live-in relationships actually don't go forward and they don't convert to marriages, or the people don't end up remaining together. And he was like, "Oh, where did you read this?" And I said, "I've read it in like a magazine or a newspaper or whatever." So he just gave me a look and then 2 minutes later spat out this ridiculous fact which was not true at all, and it was completely made up, and I could tell because he was doing it on purpose. I could see through him from the very first time. And I was like, "No, where did you read that?" And he was like, "Oh, the same paper you read it from." I was like,
She
"This
says,
boy."
I've read, she says, did you know 30% of live-in relationships, 30% of the marriages that start with live-in relationships, and this is a random stat, end up in divorce? I said, where have you read that? The newspaper. I said, okay. Did you know that 80% of live-in relationships
And a ridiculous stat,
actually
like
end
I
up
said.
end up people who are in relationships, live in relationships, 80% of them actually end up getting married. And she says, where did you read that? I said, the same damn newspaper.
So full drama he did there also. But I still remember, so my first impression, so I don't remember seeing him on the freshers day, right? Because I was like, there were so many new faces, there were a bunch of new people. And he was also sweating that day, it was very hot. So he was not looking like his charming self.
What the hell does
I
that
don't
have to do with
know.
anything?
But on the debate day, I remember thinking, and I've had very bad luck with boys in general throughout my life. I've never been paired with like a good looking guy. So I remember seeing him and remember thinking, ki, oh shit, this is the guy I'm pairing up with? That's crazy. Like, how has fate changed suddenly? He's so cute.
That was
झूठ बोल
cute.
रही थी testing. I'm joking. You were very cute. You still are very cute.
Thank you.
And then the debate also, so it was very important for me to be able to converse well with my partner or even with my friends. And he was just out there, right, with his knowledge,
Articulate.
with his articulation, with his humor. Like, that really appealed to me. And he would speak so well, and I was just like, I was
Floored.
yes, I was floored, to be honest, but I didn't show it to him.
So that's where our story began. Then I messaged her on Facebook at the time because that was the social media at the
Yes,
time.
we're old.
And I texted her and told her, listen, now you know that I'm not a creep. Like, and I'm decent. I can speak well. So, would you want to go out with me sometime? Maybe on a date. Let's go grab a bite. Let's go grab a drink, whatever. And she tells me, I don't even know you. Why the hell would I go out with you? So I said, okay, fine. That's fair, right? So I said, okay, how about I get your BlackBerry Messenger
We had
ID?
BBM.
We had BBM back then. So we exchanged those. We started
Yeah.
chatting.
Yeah.
We spoke for a good 2 weeks. I found out more and more about her. And then I asked her again, okay, how about now? Now you've been speaking to me for 2 weeks. How about now we go grab a bite? She's like, no, I still don't know you. I'm not going to physically go out with you. And this happened about 4 times. I want to say 3 to 4 times. And then on the 5th time, she finally says, yeah, I think we can go now. And I
Okay,
said,
can I? Sorry, I don't
Please.
mean to butt in, but I do need to justify, guys. Context. I am in this college, so we were both in Symbiosis, Noida. So I'm coming to Noida, and
Noida
there
at
are
the time was
all
very
new
unsafe.
faces. Yes. By the way, our college was in this sector where there's literally nothing else around us. There's just this one building, and that was our college, and there's like 100, 200 people there. I don't know who's a creep, who's not. What do you mean, oh, let's go out? What if you kidnapped me? What if you took me somewhere else? My parents have taught me better than this.
Fair enough.
And this is a disclaimer to all those of you who are meeting new people on Tinder and all these apps and going out on the first time. Don't do that.
Yeah,
They
take
could
your
be
time.
anyone. Like, do you want to get killed? That's the perfect recipe to get killed.
Absolutely. Take
Or
your time to
kidnapped.
get to know someone before you actually decide to go out with them physically or meet them physically.
Yeah.
If you meet them physically the first time around, then just be careful, be safe.
Pepper spray. I used to carry a pepper. I still do carry a pepper spray. I had
Hopefully-
it, by the
hopefully
way.
you'll
So the
never
first
need-
time, then after the 5 times when we finally did go out, I had pepper spray in my bag, and then my hand was like this, and I was ready. I'm joking. I knew who he was.
Yes. Yeah, so this had happened, I think, in right after her birthday is when we started talking, because she was 17 at the time, so just a joke. She was 17, not that I waited, but things just happened in such a way that we
After I
started
turned
talking.
18,
We started talking sometime late September. Then we spoke for about, I think, 4 to 5 weeks before we actually went out on a date for the first time.
no, November, because
Yes. So between September to November was about 5 weeks. September, October,
okay, yeah,
November.
yeah, yeah.
So November 2nd is when we went on our first date, and I remember very clearly the date because on the 1st of November, I'd been convincing my friends to do no shave November for 2 years.
That's hilarious.
And I told them, no, this time, bro, karna hai, we have to do no shave November, सारे साथ में करेंगे, सही लगेगा. And they're like, okay, fine, we'll do it. So 1st of November, I convinced them not to shave. 2nd of November, I show up clean shaved. I'm like, bro, sorry, I have a date. I don't give a shit about our pact.
If you have friends like this,
It's just facial hair. It's fine. And we went to Hard Rock Cafe. We had a fun little date there as well. Of course, things were awkward. Everything about our relationship initially was just awkward. We get there. I ask her what she wants to eat. She said nothing. So I'm like, we've come for food. How are you not gonna eat if we're on a date to eat?
to be
And
fair, it wasn't lunch or dinner. It was
yeah,
like
she said she had food and came.
evening time. So I had like Coke or something to drink.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I
'cause
remember because I specifically picked Hard Rock Cafe so that we can eat chicken wings there with our hands. And that would be like a fun thing to do. That would sort of break the ice because you're.
There was no way in hell I was eating chicken wings on the first date.
But if
ever.
if you're going out with a girl and she's game, do it because that's
Yeah.
an excellent icebreaker.
Yeah, for sure.
She was really difficult for me to crack. But then patience always.
Yeah, that's
rewards
actually
you.
true. I'm gonna give it to him. He's been really patient. I've not been very kind to him when it comes to that. I've given you like a really hard time, and
Yeah,
you've been
initially
very,
it was
very
tough.
patient.
But then let me explain why I was so patient. It's because there are times in your life when you're gonna meet people and you're gonna realize it's one thing for somebody to be attractive. It's one thing for them to be able to grab your attention. But it's very rare for a person to have the qualities to sort of keep your attention. And that's not always, I don't mean somebody who's playing hard to get. Not at
I
all.
wasn't playing hard to get.
Exactly. She was never ever playing
Yeah.
hard to get.
I
But
was
she
being honest to myself.
precisely the things she said, the quality and the content of what she spoke to me about, that made me really feel like this is a person that I need to hold on to because she has great values right off the bat. Right?
True content creator, giving me points on my content even then.
The content of her character, not the content of her social media, because that didn't even exist back then.
Content, yes.
So yeah, we had our first date, which was a complete failure on my part.
On my part also. I mean, I was just he was very intimidating, right? So I didn't want to say something to come across as dumb. And I'm a very I'm a shy person. I'm an introvert. It's not easy for me to mix around with people. And I was worse then than I am now. So it was just very difficult. A lot of the time I was silent during the date. He would ask me questions and I would reply in monosyllables.
First 6 months of our relationship.
And that's so funny because in my head, I remember thinking, Kriti, what the hell are you doing? Can you please not respond in monosyllables? He's gonna run away and you don't want that. You like him, he's a nice guy. But you know how your brain tries to tell you something and then something else actually happens? Like, have you guys seen Wolf of Wall Street? Where Leonardo DiCaprio is drunk out of his mind or he's high or whatever, and then he drives back home and comes in his head. He's driven perfectly. The car is in great condition, and then next day when he sees the car, that's sort of what happened with me.
And there were times on our dates when she would just not talk. She'd just be staring, and I'd ask her, "Listen, are you okay?" Did something happen? Did I say something? I'm sorry. No, I was just zoned out.
No, not like the entire.
No, not the entire time.
Yeah, just give some
Absolutely. Like,
context.
just usually, it would happen often enough for me to remember.
Yeah.
But
Later, we figured out that it was actually the food that was causing me to be that way.
probably.
Like I
much
would
pasta.
feel very spaced out after eating too much gluten, too much maida, and then my brain would just brain fog.
Yes. There was a lot of brain fog to address
Yes.
back then. Even for me.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So coming back, that was the first date,
First date.
and then we met in GK M Block.
That was our second date, which was
met
a
at?
big step up. So in GK, there was a restaurant called Mocha back then.
Of course, you guys know Mocha was the Gurgaon one, was the first Mocha to have hookah. It was a
Yep.
huge deal.
But maybe they're too young.
Yeah. No, I don't think like Gen Z is just gonna see this and be like, ये क्या बकवास कर रहे हैं millennial हटाओ.
नहीं हो सकता है Gen Z like this sort of content because they think हाँ किसी दिन हम भी एक relationship में होंगे कुछ सीखते हैं. You can't generalize like that, man. There are all
True.
sorts of people in every generation.
True.
So Gen Z people,
Facts.
Mocha was a restaurant in GK which had hookah.
Yes.
And back then, everyone used to do hookah, shisha, because that was all the rage.
Yeah.
So we met there. And before meeting, I was unsure whether or not she was actually into me. Because first date, we didn't really talk much. I was doing all the talking. I was doing all the eating and
You
the drinking.
forgot to mention though, but at the end of the first date, I genuinely remember thinking, Kriti, you have f***ed this up, and you are not meeting him again because you have not spoken a word and you have responded in monosyllables.
Yeah.
But at the end, I was pleasantly surprised because he was like, "Oh, okay, cool. So when do I see you next?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit, is
Salesman.
something wrong with me? Wrong with him?"
I'm a salesman. So before we close this deal, let's talk about the next one.
But that made me doubt you.
Why?
Because I was like, I have not spoken properly. I have responded in monosyllables. What is wrong with you? Then I started
Perhaps,
thinking.
yeah. Or maybe that was just my subtle way of showing that I am
A
interested
nice
in you.
person.
I will give this time before
Yes.
I just say no, forget about it, let's move on.
I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah, because it worked out. So our second date was at Mocha.
Yeah.
And before meeting her, I had asked her, are you fine? Are you interested in like going out? And it's fine. You can be honest with me if
Oh,
you're
you
not
did?
into
I don't
me.
remember this.
And that's when I think she realized that, okay, first date, I messed up. I didn't talk at all. Maybe I'm not putting it across that I'm actually interested in this guy because second date, you came prepared. Second date,
I don't remember this.
she spoke a lot. She told me about her family. She told me about her sister, her mom, etc.
It's crazy that you remember that. I have no recollection of the second date.
I even remember what you were wearing.
Yeah, that I remember. You
Yeah.
pointed out a lot of times.
Yeah, mauve
Did-
colored sweater.
Yes, let's not get into it.
What, lavender?
Yeah, whatever.
A shade of purple.
But yes, I don't remember what we spoke about that day.
Yeah, we spoke about Ria, we spoke about your parents, family, who's
guess
in
I
your
opened
family,
up, huh?
grandparents. Yeah.
All
So-
of this while we were talking on BBM and stuff though. Like we were
Yeah.
talking every day almost.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's different when you meet in person as well.
Yeah. He would, I remember, try to act really cool and like not respond for like a bunch of hours. Later I got to know that was on purpose. But he would just like see my message, not respond, and then randomly say something nice and then ghost me. Full drama. Tactics.
That's the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I think for all those of you who want to know, we should make him do a separate podcast on just this.
On how to make a woman interested in you?
Yes.
Okay, alright.
Or a man.
Or man. I don't know how to make men interested in me. I know how to make women interested in me. But somehow I end up making men interested in me as well.
Yes.
So, I'm doing something right. So that was our second date.
Yeah. And then the third one was where?
I want to say DLF Ambience Mall. Ambience Mall was in Kuch.
Where?
Next to the food court, there was some really nice coffee and bean or something.
Okay.
I think that.
But I think like by then it was like
Yeah, by
we
then-
started talking
yeah,
and
things had
things had
settled.
settled down. We developed more of a liking towards each other.
Yeah.
So that is the story of how we met, and then now we're dating, right? Like I had also told a couple of my friends that I'm seeing this guy, and he's really nice, and it's just we're just going on dates. We don't want to get into anything too soon and formalize it. I told my mom. So I actually told my mom before I even went on the first date with him. And I told her there's this guy when we were just talking. And I really like him. He's in my college and this and that. So I remember mom telling me, she's like, yeah, you can meet him, but don't make anything formal. You should meet him in a group with friends. You know how typically moms say that. I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I won't. So for the longest time, I did try to keep that. And we didn't formalize things until we were more and more sure. But he just refused to ask me out. Like there was no initiation, no move after that.
There are two reasons why. Let me elaborate. And also, by the way, we didn't just keep going on dates. We were in the same college, so we used to meet in college all the time. So things were starting to get more and more interesting. We were starting to get to know each other better, spending more time. At the time, I was not ready for a relationship. I was not ready to commit because I just wanted some time to myself. And I didn't want to commit too soon because I am the sort of person, I'm a one-woman man. So if I'm going to commit to you, I'm basically going to commit to you for life. And I didn't know her well enough to commit to her back then, right? We'd only known each other maybe a month and a half. So I just felt like that was too soon to make it like a permanent, serious relationship.
2-3 months by then, huh?
This is, first date was 2nd November.
September
we started
to
dating
December.
So that's just under 2 months.
October, November, December, 4 months. 3.5.
First date was November.
Acha, okay, from the first date, yeah.
Yeah. So I needed some time. And secondly, and more importantly, I had asked her multiple times to go out on a date with me. She said, no, I'll let you know when I'm ready. I'd asked her multiple times to meet me in college, to do this, to do that, right? And every time she was like, no, I'll let you know when I'm ready. I'll ask you. So I said, you know what? You let me know when you're ready to formalize this relationship.
Again, it was not like a hard to get angle. It was just that I wanted to take my own time. I'm not someone who rushes into things. I don't want to get into something I'm not comfortable. I don't like regretting things. Oh shit, I see that.
And I didn't want to get turned down.
And also the safety angle. Like I was genuinely concerned. I am a very paranoid person. Even when I'm walking down a street, if he's not there, if he's there, I'm walking like a blind person. But if my family or my friends or he's not around, then I'm very like, who's looking, who's there, what's happening, just very aware because I'm very paranoid, right? The pepper spray explains that. So those are a few of the reasons. But yeah, I remember, so in my mind, I was like, okay, we clearly like each other. So this has to progress. We can't just keep going on random dates. It doesn't work like that. Like in my head, it just didn't seem right. It needed to progress somewhere. So for me, it was either that, okay, the next logical step for me is we get into a relationship, or what the hell are we doing? If you're here to like time pass, then that's not for me. I'm not looking for that right now. So I asked him a couple of times, I tried to get a sense, and he was not ready to commit, right? So then I was like, listen, it doesn't work like this. You're either here or you're there. You beach can each other. You can't like have me and then not have me. So then I made the next move. And I just put him on the spot. And I remember a day before Christmas, 24th December, we were going for this movie. Which movie was this? Some animated. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Christmas.
Guardians of Christmas. Some animated movie, very cute. And we had a talk the day before. So before the movie, I asked him out. He already had the context. And I just completely threw him in. He was not ready for the relationship.
I was like, right now? Like, you want to formalize this right now?
Yeah.
But then I was ready. And again, even then, okay, maybe I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready.
I wasn't ready. But I thought, this is not a girl that I want to lose. Because there are so many girls around me that I know aren't the sort of person that I'm looking for. They don't share the same values. They don't share the same mindset, most importantly. And no, actually, most importantly, they don't make me a better man. In fact, one small but very crucial detail that we left out is that before I met Kriti, I used to be a chain smoker. I used to smoke a pack a day.
Oh shit, yes.
I used to drink a ton of alcohol and other substances once in a while. Yes, Rastaman. But when I started talking to her, I told her, let's go out for a drink. She told me I don't
You were
drink.
standing outside college.
And then I told her, oh, laughingly, you don't even smoke? So she said, no, I don't smoke. I said, anything? She said, nothing. Absolutely clean. And that made me realize if this is a girl that I want to be with, I've got to be worthy of her attention, worthy of being with her. So I, as a man, need to improve myself and find the best version of myself, right? Not just because she deserves the best, but also because I need to find someone who makes me level up. And that was a very crucial reason why I felt like, even though I wasn't ready for the relationship, I need to commit to this girl because, for my selfish reasons as well, she's going to help me improve my life. She's going to make me a better person. And
That's so cute.
then we never looked back.
Yeah.
And we've been together since, and it's been almost 12 years now, this December.
Yes.
And that's our cute little story.
Meet cute. It's our meet cute.
And we were dating 9 years before we got married.
Yeah,
And
that
now-
also, I think I only had to push you. I was like, Viren, मेरे parents किसी और से शादी करा देंगे. So unless you're interested in
वो
finding
तो
someone
मैं
else
होने नहीं
now,
देता.
you better marry me.
मैं यहाँ पे ऐसे इसका टैटू फेक ब्लड में टैटू करवा लेता और कहता, ये देखो मैं आपकी बेटी के लिए क्या करता हूँ.
Yeah, that was also a whole story. So my dad finally, like, he started pressuring me, right? He's like, let's meet him if he's interested, and like now you should get married. Indian लड़की हो, शादी की उम्र हो गई है, वरना लड़के नहीं मिलेंगे बाद में, etc. etc. So he started telling me, he's like, okay, let's talk to his parents and stuff. And they'd already met him a bunch of times. Like, we'd had dinners together. Dad had met him a bunch of times too. Mom had separately gone out for lunch, all of that. And they loved him. There was absolutely no problem, which is why they were like, okay, if this is the person you want to be with, let's at least get a commitment. But he wasn't ready at that point in time. So I tried to keep pushing it out. So 1 year, 1.5, 2 years. Then in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2019, my dad was like, bus is done. Let me meet his parents now. So then I still try to buy a little more time. So I was like, so why don't you meet him first? Speak to him. And he's like, no, I don't need to. What will I ask him? I've met him. And there's literally nothing more that I need. I know who he is. Let's meet the parents. He didn't realize I was just trying to buy time. Thank you. I mean, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So then I made him meet him. Very awkward because he didn't know what to say. This one didn't know what to say. They were just sitting. They're like, huh, okay. But it still bought them like 3-4 more months.
Yes.
And
Because
then we
I
met
just
the
wanted-
parents.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. That's because I just wanted to be in a position financially to be able to take care of her completely. And that obviously took time. Just because, even though a lot of you think that I come from money, for some reason, I don't. I'm absolutely 100% self-made from scratch, all right? And that took a while. So if you're planning to get married, and again, how we got married is a separate topic. We'll cover that in
shit, we
another
should
podcast.
do that too, yeah.
Yeah, that can be maybe episode 2.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to get married, if you're trying to get into a relationship, the key takeaway from this podcast is, if you're trying to get married, be financially stable. Most importantly, have a plan of action of how you're going to proceed in the next 5 years. And with respect to a relationship, if you're looking for a person and whether or not you want to figure out if the person's right for you, firstly, you've got to be worthy of them. That's your responsibility. Take ownership. And secondly, they've got to elevate you. And if they're not doing that, if they're not improving you as a person, then maybe you should reconsider.
100%. And I would like to clarify and add to that just the financially stable part. I think it goes both ways, right? For men and for women. I was also not ready for the longest time to be married, which is why I kept pushing my parents back too. I wanted to do XYZ career wise or study wise, etc. I just felt like I wasn't financially independent either. So I think we got married at a place which was very good for both of us. It was a little bit of a push, I think, but like you just have to dive into it sometimes, right? Like if you can keep thinking about it and not take action, you will postpone the thing forever. So थोड़ा सा jump करना पड़ता है, but we were, I think, more or less there. Career wise also, we had sort of figured out what we wanted. So both men and women need to be independent. Even as a woman, I think it's important to identify your own personality, what you want to do, and not just go from being under your dad to your husband. It is very important. Otherwise,
Yeah.
like midlife crisis happens.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, that is the story of how
That's the
we
story
met.
of
That's the
how we
long
met.
story.
Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave your questions in the comment section below. Hit subscribe.
Yes.
Hit like. Hit share.
And tell
all
us
of
what
the
you
YouTube
want to
stuff.
hear otherwise as well.
Absolutely. Any topics that you want us to discuss, maybe you want to hear our thoughts around that, please let us know. We'd love to share our thoughts with you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for tuning in.
See you.
See you at the next one.